Well, Dan, a lot of people have heard about Global Rescue. They've seen the ads, but tell us exactly what it is that Global Rescue does and what services they offer.
Thanks, Jim. Global Rescue is a membership that provides its clients medical evacuation, security evacuation, and advisory services. So you can call us 24/7, 365. You'll talk to a professional, whether medical, security, even a doctor. You could explain what you have going on in the field, and we'll give you advice. We'll figure out a way to evacuate you should you need it, and we will pay for that. So really important part of that is communicating with us. Our memberships need two-way communication, and we'll cover up to $500,000 in emergency medical evacuation benefit when you're traveling more than 100 miles from home. We recently added a local field rescue benefit that gives you $15,000 in emergency medical benefit when you're within the 100-mile radius of your home. That was added during COVID. We saw that people were going to kind of venture closer to home, and it's been a big hit for us.
So essentially, for anyone who's traveling, whether you're traveling to fish, if you're in adventure travel, hunting, anything like that, essentially Global Rescue is the answer and the solution to having a plan if something were to go wrong when you're away from home.
Yeah, it's part of the plan, I would say. So you always have us in your pocket. You're able to make that phone call and talk to someone. They'll help you with the plan. You should be prepared on your own with the plan as well to take care of yourself.
In the immediate, whatever's happening on the ground at that moment.
Yeah, if you're bleeding out, someone's not going to drop down from a helicopter and stop you from bleeding out. But we are going to be your, ears and eyes and ears there to tell you how to stop it on the site. We pride ourselves on being there 24/7, 365. We're based in Lebanon, New Hampshire, 12 hours a day, and Manila, the Philippines, 12 hours a day. There's operations centers in both of those locations, staffed by critical care nurses, former Navy SEALs on the security side, and doctors.
So you have a problem. Let's say you're out in the field, you're somewhere remote, something goes wrong. Whether it's disastrously wrong, it's a true crisis, or maybe it's just a building medical situation where you don't quite feel well, you need some advice, you need some help. Regardless of where it falls in that spectrum, you have a number you can call. You're going to get immediate advice, and if the situation warrants it and it escalates quickly and is very serious, you have solutions on help, care, extraction if needed, all of those services.
Yeah, so we like to say major, minor, and advisory. Major thing like a heart attack, you're calling us, our team is spinning up a way to get you out, whether it's a helicopter, a boat, a 4x4. We say a yak now because someone had to be taken out on a yak, which is probably not the most comfortable, but it's more comfortable than being laying on the side of a trail. Minor is I was bit by something, I'm not sure if I should do something about it, I want to send Global Rescue a picture. So we'll take a picture, we'll look at it and say, yeah, that looks okay, keep fishing, keep hunting. Or that does not look okay, what bit you? And if you know, we will then say, well, we need to evacuate you now before this becomes worse. We want you to stay on your trip. We want you to keep hunting and fishing or doing whatever activity it is that you're doing. And our team is there to advise that. So that's the third part. Advisory, something just doesn't feel right. My belly doesn't feel good. I am having some type of traveler's stomach. Okay, I'm in a different country where I don't speak the language. Global Rescue will help communicate me to a place where I can get the treatment that I need, whether it's just, Tums, something simple like that, but we'll figure out how to get you to that place.
All right, so how long has Global Rescue been around, and what's the story on how the company started?
So we're just under 20 years at this point. Our current CEO and founder, Daniel Richards, is still the CEO. He was working in private equity and tasked to find a company that did something like what Global Rescue does now. He couldn't find anything that filled that need, and that lit a fire under him, and he said, I'm going to start a business, and left private finance and started the business out of Boston, and it led to this large undertaking. It started with vetting assets all over the world, and led to consumer memberships where people can just buy a membership and not tell us where they're going. We'll cover them anywhere.
So 20 years ago, Dan Richards set off to find a solution. He was tasked with finding security coverage, maybe medical evacuation answers for his boss. He started searching, didn't find anything.
Yep.
And he said, well, there's a real need here for the traveling angler, the adventurer, the traveling business person, whatever it is. And that was the creation of Global Rescue.
Yeah, he built it from there, and he still is very involved in the business on the day-to-day. I see him often. He's engaged, and when we talk about operations and medical evacuations or security evacuations, he's on those calls, and he's right there at the forefront to guide the ship still.
And 20 years later, he's built it into the largest, arguably the most accomplished medical evacuation and security services provider in this realm.
Yeah, most well known. We've done the most evacuations. Field rescue, which I can explain, is when you're injured or ill, not at a hospital, not at a hotel. You're on the side of the river. You're on the side of the mountain, and you're injured, and you need to call someone. He invented the idea that you call Global Rescue, and we'll move you from that point of illness or injury to the nearest treating facility, and then to a different treating facility should you need it, and then all the way to your home hospital of choice if you need that type of care as well.
And again, that might be 100 miles from home, or it might be literally halfway around the planet in far-reaching off-the-grid destinations.
Yep. Yeah, we required that two-way communication. So if you have a sat phone or your cell phone service is working, you reach out to us, our team assesses the situation, and then yes, we use our assets to organize, operate, and pay for the evacuation.
So let me throw this at you. I'm a traveling angler. Let's say I'm going on a jungle trip, or maybe I'm going out somewhere in the Indian Ocean. I'm going with a lodge, I'm going with an established outfitter. They've seen a lot of clients, let's say, come through their operation. Why would I need this coverage? Why would you recommend this service if I were venturing out far from home to a new area?
So those lodges and guides, they have seen a lot, but they haven't seen everything. And they're also not medical or security professionals. So they might know the ins and outs of evacuating you from the point in their area, but they're not going to be able to get you home. They're not going to be able to find a hospital that they've vetted to get you the type of care that you need. That's where we come in. So I would always say, tell those guides and lodges you have a Global Rescue membership. So should something happen and you're injured to the point where maybe you are incapacitated and can't speak for yourself, they could call on your behalf and have our team start working on it.
Get the ball rolling.
Get the ball rolling, figure out the next steps. So our operations team always says that we need information. We want as much information as you could give us, and don't sugarcoat it. Tell us exactly what you see, whether it's you talking about yourself or someone's speaking for you.
So if I'm traveling, let's say I'm just going to do this once in a lifetime trip, and that's kind of it. I can buy a short-term membership, or if I'm an angler or a traveler that goes out several times a year or typically plays in the outdoor realm, I can buy an annual membership, correct?
Yeah, I would always recommend an annual membership. The way that I see it, especially with Yellow Dog's traveling population, these guys and gals aren't just going fly fishing once. They're going to basically train to fly fish. It's what they do, it's what they love, it's what they want to do. So an annual membership is going to have them have the benefit when they're near home. So if you're here in Bozeman and you want to go out and fly fish locally, you have that benefit. And then if you're only going to travel one other time a year, great, you still have the full benefit with Global Rescue there.
So I know this is a ballpark question, but let's say you're 45, 50 years old. What are you looking at for the cost of an annual membership?
It's $359 for a medical only membership and $720 for medical and security.
All right, so talk to me a little bit about some scenarios where a medical policy would come in. Let's say I just opt for that, for the $359 policy. What's covered?
Well, the peace of mind of having the membership is some of the coverage in itself. You're going on a trip and you now know that you have a plan in your pocket. Your husband or wife or partner knows that you have that plan in your pocket. So even if nothing happens, there's coverage right there. I know I get hurt, I break my ankle, I fall, I have a question, I have somewhere to go with it. To the larger extreme, you can break your arm, break your leg, have a heart attack. All of that is then going to be, the cost of evacuating you for that is going to be built into the membership benefit.
So if I've spent $350, give or take, and the extraction, whether it's a helicopter, a plane ride out, whatever it takes, let's say that's $150,000, $200,000. all of that is covered under this policy.
Yeah, there's no claim process. There's no filing paperwork with us. It's call us. We help you decide if we need to evacuate you, and then we pay up to $500,000 in benefit.
Per incident, 500,000.
500,000 total. We've never gotten that high. I think 410 was the range that the operations team has told me, and everything went wrong in that scenario in the evacuation, and the person survived.
It was still covered. They still got him out.
Still got him out, yeah. So the key is you need to communicate with us first. We don't have a claim process where if you jump on a helicopter yourself and call us 6 weeks later and say, hey, this helicopter company
Here's the
billed
bill.
me. Yeah, it doesn't work like that.
Right.
We want to be involved all the way. And not just to pay it, but to have the next step ready. So a lot of the evacuations are going to be from the point of illness or injury to the nearest treating facility, and then that's it. I broke my arm, I broke my leg, I'm casted, and now I can travel home, on my own. But if I need further care and we need to deploy one of our staff members, we want to be able to get that staff member moving right away. We want to be able to figure out where the next treating facility is, and we want to be able to get you to your home hospital should you need that.
Well, and I can tell you, I've been on the receiving end of the services with an incident that I had years ago down in the jungles of Bolivia. And we also see this several times a year with Yellow Dog customers in varying degrees of severity or kind of crisis mode. Sometimes we see heart attacks, we see very serious illnesses, we see some pretty critical situations where time is of the essence, and that plan really comes into play on getting someone evacuated, getting them the treatment that they need. We also see a lot of minor things, as you were saying. A fish hook has punctured someone's finger. They didn't do anything about it for several days. Now their finger and eventually their whole hand is infected. They need some treatment advice, stomach ailments, GI issues, things like that. But all of that is available if you have a policy, whether it's just advice and guidance all the way to the far end of the spectrum where it's like, okay, we have a severe situation. We need to get you out of there right now.
Yeah, that's all included. And what we always say is the first second that fish hook goes into your finger and it doesn't look good, call Global Rescue. We're not going to force you to leave the trip and miss a great time fishing with your buddies or friends, but we do want to get it rolling. Like I've said, finger hurts, okay, let's get some minor treatment to it, and then we'll check in every 6 to 8 hours to say, how's that finger?
Don't wait till your hand turns green.
No, don't wait till you can't do anything besides think about your hand.
All right. Well, that's medical evacuation services. Talk to us for a minute about the security coverage that you guys also offer as an add-on to the plan.
Yeah, so security is an add-on to medical. All of our memberships, I will say, come with medical. So that's where it starts. You could add security. And what that does, it gives you the ability to be evacuated when you're not injured, but something is happening where you are that is considered a security risk to you. It could be an unpredicted natural disaster. It could be civil unrest. It could be terrorist. It can be war. As long as you're traveling to a country that is on the U.S. State Department's level 3 or below prior to leaving, that's included in the membership. If a country turns level 4, that's red light. Now that's a point to be evacuated. You can't travel to a level 4 country and buy a security membership. That's the one thing that would be excluded.
But you can buy it as a 3, and if it turns to a 4, you're still covered.
Exactly. That's the whole point.
Yeah,
you want to be going somewhere safe, and if it turns unsafe, time for us to do an evacuation.
We've seen that in the past with our clients when it comes to the aftermath of severe hurricanes. We've seen it with earthquakes in certain countries. As you said, civil unrest, terrorism incidents, war in the Middle East, things like that would all be considered security situations that would be evaluated.
Yeah, security benefits. We recently had the Sudan, which was level 3 prior to traveling, and we had a bunch of anglers there who needed to be evacuated, and they were very happy to be on a boat towards Egypt versus back into the Sudan.
Well, and that was the plan that you guys came up with. You looked at a number of different evacuation routes, given what was going on with tanks in the streets and civil war literally breaking out, and said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to move them by water up to Egypt and get them out that way.
Yeah, and on their own, I'm not sure how they would have done that. I'm not sure how I would do that if I was in that situation. I mean, I would just call Global Rescue at this point, obviously, but without that, I don't know what I would do.
And when our clients book through Yellow Dog, and we do a lot of people to a lot of different places around the world, they rely on us for support, advice, for being an agent that's really looking out for their interests and providing solutions when different situations arise. But when situations get really hectic and they are critical, that's where global rescue comes into play, not just for our customers, but also for us at Yellow Dog. We talk on a very regular basis to your team. We're looking at them for advice, for updates on security situations. We've worked with the Global Rescue team for many years on vetting these different destinations. So, take for example the Seychelles. Global Rescue team has been there. They have a contingency plan for each one of these out island destinations. So even before you arrive, they're already dialed into exactly where you're going, what they need to do if something were to happen, and they have a plan for getting you out in the worst case situation.
Yeah, so it's all situational. So sometimes it's easier than others, but what our team is waiting there for is for a global rescue member like yourself to call and tell them, hey, this is what's happening to me in the Seychelles, and then we follow our plan. So your plan is to get to us, we follow our plan to evacuate you from that point should you need it.
So Dan, what are some of the biggest misconceptions that people have either in exploring or purchasing a global rescue membership, a similar type of membership, or as we talked about, kind of a faulty membership that really doesn't provide the kind of coverage that you expected it would? What are some of the misconceptions?
So the biggest misconception that I'll see when I'm talking to clients is they're expecting Tom Cruise to drop in off a helicopter, Mission Impossible style, pick you up wherever you are in the world and drag you out and everything's going to be fine. Some of the evacuation process does have to be put on the member themselves. We need them to be able to understand that they're in a remote destination and they can't just press a button and have somebody land there. We need that two-way communication so they can tell us what's wrong, so we send the proper team to evacuate them. With travel insurance, the biggest misconception is people buy these policies, they see the benefit, and they just assume, oh, the same thing, they're gonna save me, I have a benefit, where they don't even have the option to make the phone call to get the benefit. They need to figure it out and make a claim to have
after it's all said and done.
Yeah, to have the money part covered up.
Right.
So someone else is going to do the evacuation. They're going to rely on the guide or the local lodge that knows, somebody with a plane or a helicopter, whether it's vetted or not. Where a global rescue membership comes with vetted assets that are going to evacuate you, and also nothing out of your pocket. You've paid the $359 for an annual membership, and now we're going to pay the cost of the evacuation.
Well, and I have to tell you, I've been out in the field. I've been doing visitations where I have either done it in conjunction with Global Rescue team members or just happen to run into them when I'm in some far off destination. Yeah. We bump into each other and I'm like, what are you doing here? And well, we know exactly what they're doing there. They are there to vet the operation. They're doing all their research so that they actually have a comms plan, a connectivity plan. They know who to reach out to. They know what to do when it's needed. So it's not as simple as Googling to find an answer. You actually deploy people to all of these far off destinations so they can put boots on the ground, they can see it for themselves, and they can develop a real-time plan that really can only be done through in-person, first-person experience.
Yeah, they go and vet these helicopter providers, air ambulance providers, float plane providers, so that they know there's actually a plane here. There's actually a helicopter here. I've met the owner of this company that's gonna, when I call, he's gonna answer that phone at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever time of the day it is, and then start the plan of can we do this at first light. We don't wanna be waiting to figure out who can we even call, and then, oh, now it's first light. We don't have a plan yet. We don't have a helicopter, but our plan is that, well, that helicopter is ready for us as soon as they could spin those rotors and get them out.
And this is something that only comes from doing your homework. And that is the peace of mind that I think any global rescue member is essentially purchasing with that policy. Is you may be going to a distant remote destination. It may not be the easiest place to access in the first place, and it is going to take some time to get out if there's a situation where you need to leave in a hurry. But you're calling the right people, the right team that has that information, they have the assets, and they're going to get you out and get you help faster than anybody else in the game.
Exactly. The other thing that I hear is people, when I'm on the phone talking with a prospective member, they'll say, well, if I die, just leave me there. Now, now that might sound great to them, but now how does their spouse feel? How does their family feel? They don't feel good, I'll tell you that. And I've experienced a couple of situations where our members unfortunately do pass away, and the spouse or family member who we communicate with is extremely grateful that they don't need to go through the process of evacuating a body that's in a foreign country and that's passed away.
It's a nightmare.
The permitting,
Yeah.
the red tape that you have to go through to take someone out, it can take some time, but Global Rescue does all of that for you. Our operations team is experienced with it.
Yeah.
They do all the communication with these companies or with these countries, sorry, and then get the body home eventually.
And that right there, talk about peace of mind. And again, not just for the person that has the policy, but especially for their loved ones, their families, their business partners, whomever it may be at home. We have unfortunately seen this happen, where someone passes away, be it a heart attack or whatever it is in a foreign country. The red tape is an absolute nightmare. And just being able to take that off of the plate of the loved ones who are left behind, right there is worth the price of the annual membership. It's amazing.
And our operations team will communicate with that loved one every step of the way. We've done A, B, and C. We're waiting for D. And once D is done, then we can go. So it's a process that we communicate with the family. And we do a really good job of it, and people are really thankful when they don't have to do it themselves.
And in a situation like that, at a very difficult time.
Yeah, and when they're in trauma, when you've gone through something traumatic, and now the next thing you have to do is call the Brazilian government, where do you start?
Well, when it comes to sourcing and buying a Global Rescue membership, we're such believers at Yellow Dog that we actually have a full-time in-house insurance specialist at Yellow Dog, where her job is to focus on trip insurance products, but also Global Rescue memberships. She's very up to speed on what's involved in that, on what's covered. She's a great resource, and her whole job is to really take care of Yellow Dog clients to make sure they have the right coverage, the right membership, the right products to protect them no matter where in the world they're going.
Yeah, and I communicate with her very often. Questions, I'm here to answer any of the questions that a Yellow Dog client may send your way. And then our team is there 24/7 to answer those questions should they want to reach out outside of our traditional business hours.
It's also a great resource for our program directors at Yellow Dog, whether it's the program director that runs Mexico or Africa or someplace like the Bahamas or Belize. When they have questions about ongoing situations in those countries, maybe it's geopolitical, oftentimes it has to do with weather or natural disasters. One of the first calls that our program directors will make is to the Global Rescue team for additional information and support. So it's a great resource. It's one that we highly recommend for all of our traveling anglers, but it's also something that we utilize ourselves on a regular basis.
Yeah, we have a whole wing that's our intel team. So their job is literally just to collect the intel. They're looking all over the world, using any news resource they could find, 8 hours a day sitting at a computer figuring out, is something happening here, is something changing there? And then we could communicate that to Yellow Dog. We also could set meetings with Yellow Dog program directors to meet with the operations team with any concerns that they have. We'll also talk to the direct member. So if our member has a serious concern about where they're going and they have questions, our operations team will find time to speak with them as well. We really value the partnership with Yellow Dog on many levels. One, that you guys are doing adventurous things and sending people out all over the world, and our memberships really pair well with that, but also that you've leaned so deep into it to have that specific resource on your team that's, hey, we might have a specialist for Belize, we might have a specialist for Argentina, but we also have a specialist for travel insurance, med evacuation, travel services.
Yeah, it's a big deal. I mean, we've been on the receiving end of bad situations ourselves, and we've had a number of clients. The reality is that you work with great partners, you work with great lodges, you review your safety plans, you try to make sure that everything is controlled as possible. But we're sending people into uncontrolled environments oftentimes. You're going to far off places, and despite everyone's best intentions or best efforts when it comes to safety and preparation, accidents happen. And when an accident does occur, and you're far from home, or you're off the grid, or you're out in the middle of the bush, or on a deserted island way off the coast of some country, you need a plan. And having that peace of mind that you can make one phone call, it gets the process rolling, and now you've got an entire team that's working on your behalf to provide answers, solutions, if needed, evacuation. It's an incredible peace of mind for the traveler, for the traveling angler, and I know that in all the years I've been doing this, it's something I never leave home without.
Yeah, and I mean, you touched on it you don't know when an accident is going to happen. We had a conversation earlier where a prospective member said, should I get a 7 or 14 day membership? I'm going to get a 7-day membership, but my trip's 8 days. When should I start it? And the response back is, well, when are you planning to get hurt? Because you don't know. You could slip on day 1, day 8, day 5. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes to how people get hurt. It just happens. It's an accident. It's the whole point.
Which is why, for a little bit more, you get that annual membership, and then you can forget about it until next year when it's time to renew.
Exactly.
Yeah, as a traveler, whether you're doing, one big trip a year or you're doing, several trips of varying degrees, it makes a lot of sense to have that coverage.
Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah. Well, Dan, this has been great. Thanks for sitting down with us and answering all of our questions. You've provided some great information, and I know our viewers appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jim. We really value this partnership with Yellow Dog. It's been great all of these years. And if anyone has any questions about Global Rescue, feel free to reach out to Yellow Dog or Global Rescue directly. We'd be happy to help.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching. And here's to where your next adventure takes you.